The rain hit the city like 1,000 falling needles, cold and unending. Neon lights reflected on the wet streets, stretching into rivers of color that flowed between the metal towers. It was the kind of night when most people stayed inside, but Marcus Gray didn't have that luxury. He was running late, and for once not because of work. It was his birthday. His daughter Lily had spent the entire day decorating their small apartment. Balloons, cheap candles, and one small cake that said, "Happy Birthday, Dad," in crooked letters. She was only 7, but she'd done it all herself. Marcus had promised he'd be home by 7 sharp. No delays, no excuses. He checked his watch, 6:45 p.m. He could still make it. He closed his work terminal at the emergency station, grabbed his coat, and hurried out. The air smelled of metal and rain. Traffic hummed on the floating highways above. Marcus walked fast, his boots splashing through shallow puddles. He passed holographic ads and drone patrols, all glowing faintly blue. The city, called Haven 9, never truly slept. It was where humans and aliens lived together, uneasily. Marcus had worked as a field medic for years after the border war. He had seen too many things, too much pain, too many deaths, and yet, on nights like this, all he wanted was peace. Just him, Lily, and the cake. Then his wrist comm beeped. He almost ignored it. Almost. Incoming call. Unknown frequency. He frowned. Unknown meant one thing. Someone was trying to hide. He answered with a sigh. "This is Marcus Gray. There." Was static for a moment, then a trembling voice came through. Female, desperate, scared. "Marcus, it's me, Asha." His steps froze. He hadn't heard that name in months, not since the relief camp. Asha was an alien mother he'd treated once. Pale blue skin, soft silver eyes, quiet voice. Her people were refugees from the outer belt, hunted after the war. She had a small boy with her. Fragile, sickly, maybe 5 years old. Marcus had helped them find medicine, but after that day she vanished. "Asha," he said slowly. "Where are you?" Static again, then her voice shaking. "They found us. The patrols. They're taking my boy. Please, help me." His breath caught. "Where are you now?" "The East Slums. Sector 12. Please, Marcus." Then the line went dead. Marcus stood in the rain, staring at the city lights. He looked at the small paper bag in his hand. The cake Lily had ordered just for him. His chest felt tight. He promised her he'd come home. He promised. But somewhere out there, a mother was crying for her child. He closed his eyes, whispered a quiet apology to Lily, and turned toward the eastern sky. The outskirts. The East Slums weren't part of the main city grid. They were old, forgotten, full of broken domes and rusted buildings. Once it had been a repair zone for transport ships. Now it was home for those the system didn't want, mainly aliens without legal papers. Marcus took a side route through the drainage tunnels. The air was damp and heavy with smoke. Neon signs flickered weakly, advertising cheap food and even cheaper safety. He moved quickly, scanning every alley. His old instincts kicked in, the medic's calm, the soldier's alertness. Then he saw her. Asha was standing under a half-broken shelter, holding her boy close. The child was coughing, his skin flickering between pale and bright blue, a sign of oxygen failure. Rainwater dripped from Asha's hair, and her clothes were torn. When she saw Marcus, her eyes widened with a mix of relief and fear. "You came," she whispered. He nodded, rushing forward. "What happened?" "They raided our block," she said between breaths. "They said unregistered refugees will be sent to containment. I hid my boy, but they're searching every building. We can't stay here." Marcus crouched beside the child. "He's burning up. How long has he been like this?" "Since morning." He took out his small medkit, scanning the boy. The readings were bad. His oxygen levels were dropping. Marcus cursed under his breath. He needs stable air and heat now. Footsteps echoed in the alley. Voices. Soldiers. Asha's hands tightened. "They're close." Marcus looked at her, then at the child. He didn't have time to think. He removed his own jacket and wrapped it around the boy. We're leaving. But where? Anywhere that isn't here. They ran. Behind them, flashlights cut through the rain. A voice shouted, "Stop! Human male with unauthorized species." Marcus pulled Asha into a narrow side street, heart pounding. They ducked behind old machinery, holding their breath as soldiers passed by. The rain masked their scent. The thunder masked their movement. When it was safe, Asha looked at him. Her eyes glimmered faintly, reflecting the streetlights. "Why help me?" she whispered. He hesitated. "Because you asked." She stared at him for a long second. "You'll be punished if they find us." "I've been punished before." They moved again, deeper into the slums. The safe house hours later, they reached an abandoned warehouse Marcus sometimes used during emergency patrols. He closed the door behind them, sealing it with a manual lock. Inside, old generator lights flickered weakly. It smelled of oil and dust, but at least it was dry. Marcus laid the boy on a mat, removing his wet jacket. "Name?" he asked quietly. "Aaron," Asha whispered. He nodded, setting up a small heater beside him. "Aaron's breathing shallow. His body isn't adjusting to this air pressure. I need to improvise." He took a small oxygen capsule from his kit and connected it to a filter. The boy inhaled weakly, then exhaled with a faint shimmer. His breathing steadied slightly. Asha sat beside her son, tears sliding silently down her cheeks. "I can't lose him, Marcus. He's all I have." Marcus looked at her, and for a second he saw something familiar. Not her alien features, not the glowing skin, but the fear. The same fear he'd seen on his own face when Lily was sick years ago. The same helplessness. "You won't," he said softly. For a moment, neither spoke. Outside, thunder rolled. Then Asha looked around the small room, voice trembling. "This is your world, but it doesn't want us here." Marcus sighed. "It doesn't want anyone who doesn't fit in." She looked up. "But you fit in. You could have stayed safe. Why help an alien?" He met her gaze. "Because you're a mother." Her eyes widened slightly, then softened. "The message is." Marcus adjusted the heater. His wrist comm buzzed again, this time with a recorded message. He hesitated before playing it. Lily's voice filled the room, small, warm, and pure. "Daddy, where are you?" "I kept the cake safe. The candles are almost done, but I'll wait. Promise you'll come home soon." His throat tightened. Asha watched him silently. "You have a child?" she asked softly. He nodded. "Her name's Lily. She must miss you." "She does," he said quietly. "But she's strong, like you." Asha looked down at her sleeping son. "You risked everything tonight, for someone not even human." Marcus shook his head slowly. "That word, human, it's not about skin or blood. It's about choice." For a long time, neither spoke. Only the rain outside filled the silence. The search, suddenly, a bright beam flashed through the cracks of the wall. Voices shouted again. They'd been found. Marcus grabbed Asha's arm. "We move. Now." She lifted her son gently, holding him close. "Where?" "There's an old subway line under this building. If we reach the maintenance hatch, they can't track us." They slipped through the back, moving fast but quiet. The ground trembled as armored drones landed outside. Laser lights swept through the fog. Asha stumbled. Marcus caught her. "Careful." "I'm fine," she said, breath shaking. "Keep going." They reached the hatch, rusted but functional. Marcus pried it open, motioning her inside. The tunnel below was dark, filled with dripping echoes. Once inside, he sealed it behind them. The only light came from the faint glow of Asha's skin and the small lamp on his wrist. They walked for what felt like hours. Finally, when the sound of the search faded, they stopped to rest. Marcus sat against the wall, breathing hard. Asha knelt beside her child, who had fallen asleep again. "Where will you go now?" he asked. "I don't know," she whispered. "There's talk of a ship leaving soon. Refugees heading for Tyrian Station. But tickets cost more than I can ever pay." He thought for a moment, then said, "Maybe I can help." She shook her head. "You've done enough. If they catch you, then we both lose," he finished. The confession. After a long silence, she asked, "Do you ever wonder why we were created so different? Why humans and my kind can't live together?" Marcus gave a tired smile. "I used to. Now I just wonder why we keep trying to prove who deserves to live." She studied his face for a while. "Your eyes," she said softly. "They don't look like other humans. They look tired." He laughed quietly. "Maybe because they've seen too much. And yet, you still help." He looked at her then, really looked. The silver in her eyes shimmered faintly in the dark tunnel, maybe because helping someone is the only thing that still makes sense. For a moment they sat in silence, the rain echoing far above. Then faintly, the boy murmured in his sleep. His words were soft, almost dreamlike. "Mom, the stars, they're calling us home." Asha looked at him, tears forming. Marcus watched quietly, feeling something stir deep inside him, something he hadn't felt in years. Hope, the decision by dawn, the storm had passed. They climbed out of the tunnel, emerging near the river docks. Mist rose from the water and the first light touched the horizon. Marcus looked at the small communicator in his hand. One message blinked, from Lily. "Happy birthday, Daddy." He smiled faintly, then turned the device off. Asha looked at him. "You should go home. Your child is waiting." "She'll understand," he said. "You're missing your birthday," she whispered. "I already had my gift," he said softly, looking at the boy who was breathing normally in. The dawn was pale and weak, struggling to break through the haze that covered Haven 9. Steam rose from the river docks as Marcus led Asha and her boy through the narrow back streets. The city above still slept, but the lower levels were alive with whispers. Rumors of night raids, missing families, and soldiers who didn't ask questions. Marcus kept his head down. He knew which cameras still worked and which ones were blind. Years as a medic during the war had taught him where the city bled and where it hid its scars. Asha followed close, her son cradled against her chest. His breathing had steadied, but his skin still glowed faintly blue in the early light. Lily's voice replayed in Marcus's mind. "Promise you'll come home soon." The words stung like the rain. They reached a low gate covered in vines and rust. Marcus pressed a small keypad hidden behind a pipe. The door unlocked with a tired click. "Stay quiet," he whispered. "No lights near the windows." Inside was a small, forgotten world, a safe house Marcus had built years ago when the war ended. It was half medical lab, half storage room, and 100% secret. Metal shelves lined the walls, filled with medicine, blankets, and canned food. It wasn't much, but it was safe. Asha set her boy down on a cot and looked around, eyes wide. "You live here?" "No," Marcus said. "But it's where I keep the people the world forgets." A fragile piece the boy Aaron stirred. His eyes fluttered open, silver with streaks of violet. When he saw Marcus, he flinched, small hands curling in fear. "It's okay," Marcus said softly. "You're safe here." Asha brushed her son's hair back, humming something in her own language. Low, slow, and full of love. The sound echoed faintly in the room like water rippling against glass. Marcus stepped away to set up a heater. His reflection flickered in the steel walls. Tired eyes, rough beard. The face of a man who had seen too many ends and too few beginnings. He took a breath and forced himself to focus. The child needed warmth, air, and rest. The mother needed hope. He turned on the heat lamp and looked at them again. The soft light wrapped them in gold, and for a brief moment, the safe house didn't feel so cold. The memory of war as Asha watched Marcus clean Aaron's wounds, she finally spoke. "You know how to treat my kind. You were in the war, weren't you?" He didn't answer at first. I patched up soldiers, humans, and aliens both. It didn't matter who they were. Everyone bled red in the end. You saved lives, she said quietly. I tried, Marcus replied. But the war wasn't about saving. It was about surviving. He handed her a cup of warm water. She took it with both hands, trembling slightly. My people were never meant for war. We came here because we believed humans had changed. That peace meant safety. Marcus sighed. Peace is just the pause between fights. Hyphen 9 is proof. For a moment, she looked at him as if seeing through the layers of his tiredness. And you? What do you believe in, Marcus Gray? He paused, thinking of Lily, of the empty chair beside the small birthday cake that would now be cold. I believe in keeping promises, even when it hurts. Lily's message, the communicator on his wrist, blinked again. Another message, he hesitated. Then pressed play. Daddy? It's morning now. I saved you a slice of cake. You better come home before I eat it all. Her small laugh filled the room. Asha smiled softly. She sounds beautiful. She is, Marcus said. Her mother died years ago. Since then, it's just been us. Asha's expression softened further. You understand then? Understand what? What it means to be both parent and shield. To be tired but never stop moving. He met her eyes and nodded slowly. Yes, I understand that too well. 2 children. By afternoon, Aaron had regained some color. He sat up weakly, looking around with wide, curious eyes. On a small table, Marcus placed a few old toys, models of ships and planets that Lily had outgrown. Aaron reached for one, tracing its shape with delicate fingers. This is human craft? He asked, his voice small but clear. Yeah, Marcus said. Old cargo hauler. Nothing fancy. It's beautiful, Aaron whispered. We had ships like this, before the soldiers came. Asha touched her son's shoulder gently. Don't think about that now. But Marcus saw the pain in her eyes. The boy had seen more than any child should. He smiled faintly and said, You can keep it. Maybe one day you'll fly a real one. Aaron's eyes widened in wonder. Really? Really, Marcus said. Just don't crash it, the boy laughed, a soft musical sound. For the first time that day, Asha laughed too. It was small, but it made the air feel lighter. The knock then, suddenly. 3 knocks on the door. Marcus froze. He motioned for Asha to hide. She grabbed Aaron and ducked behind the storage crates. Marcus moved quietly toward the door, gun drawn from the cabinet. Another knock, louder this time. He pressed a switch, activating the exterior cam. The screen flickered. A familiar face appeared, short hair, tired eyes, city guard uniform. Marcus, open up, the woman said. It's me. He relaxed slightly and opened the door a few inches. Rena, what are you doing here? Rena Tao, his old partner from the medical corps, stepped in. She looked around sharply. I followed your trail. You disappeared after your shift. Command's asking questions. I was off duty. Yeah? She raised an eyebrow. Then why are there patrol reports of you near the East Slums during a raid? Marcus tensed. Rena, listen, don't Rena me, she said. You're hiding someone, aren't you? Silence. Rena exhaled heavily. You always had that look when you lied. Finally, Marcus said quietly. A mother and her kid. They'd be dead if I didn't help. She stared at him. You realize that's treason under Section 12. I realize it's the right thing to do. For a long moment, Rena said nothing. Then she closed the door behind her and lowered her voice. You have 12 hours. After that, I can't cover for you. Marcus nodded once. Thank you. She looked toward the crates. Are they here? Asha stepped out slowly, her son beside her. Rena's eyes widened slightly at the alien's glowing skin but softened when she saw the boy. No wonder, she murmured. They're just kids. Then she turned to Marcus. Get them out of the city before sunset. After that, the scanners go active again. When she left, Asha looked at Marcus. She risked her life. She owes me, he said simply. Now we move. The escape plan. Marcus spread an old map on the table. There's a cargo line leaving tonight for the mining colonies. It's the only way past the border net. If we reach the freight terminal before dark, we can get you both on board. Asha studied the map. That's across 3 security zones. I know, Marcus said. But there's an old service tunnel beneath the mag train rails. I used it once. It's dark but safe, she nodded. We'll go. He looked at her, really looked. Her face was thin, tired, yet strong. Asha, he said quietly. Once you're on that ship, don't look back. Her lips trembled. And you? I'll make sure the path stays clear. You can't come? He shook his head. Lily needs me. Asha lowered her gaze. You're a good father, he smiled faintly. Trying to be. The storm within while Aaron slept again. Asha sat by the heater, her fingers tracing the metal floor. Do you ever feel, she said softly, that the universe keeps testing how much one heart can carry? Marcus looked at her from across the room. Every day. Back home, she continued, we believed hearts were made of light. The more you loved, the brighter it shined. But here, she looked up at him. The light feels heavy. He didn't know what to say. He only nodded. You gave up your birthday for us, she said. And maybe your life too. Marcus smiled weakly. Birthdays come every year. Lives don't. Something unspoken passed between them, something fragile but real. Not love yet, but understanding. Two broken souls recognizing the same wound. A moment of peace as night fell. They ate together, canned soup and stale bread, but it felt like a feast. Marcus found an old lantern that Lily had painted with stars. He lit it and placed it between them. Its soft light reflected in Asha's eyes. Aaron watched the tiny flame flicker and whispered, It looks like home. Asha brushed his hair. Sleep, little light. Marcus leaned back, exhaustion pulling at him. But when he saw Asha and her son huddled together, something inside him softened. For years he'd been surviving out of duty. Tonight, for the first time, he felt purpose. Outside, thunder rumbled again, faint and distant. The war might have ended, but its shadow still reached for them. Marcus whispered to himself, Just one more night. Let them be safe one more night. He didn't know the city patrols had already traced his ID. He didn't know soldiers were on their way. He only knew that, in this small, hidden room, for a few fragile hours, 2 mothers, 2 children, and 1 broken man shared a peace that shouldn't have been possible. The lights dimmed. The scene faded to black. A single line appeared. They found shelter in the cracks of a dying world, but the storm was far from over. The night grew heavier than before. The rain had stopped, but the air was thick with tension. From the safe house window, Marcus could see the faint glow of search drones sweeping through the sky like silver eyes. He checked his wristcom again, no signal. Rena's warning echoed in his mind. You have 12 hours. Time was almost up. Asha sat quietly beside her sleeping son Aaron, her silver eyes half closed but alert. She could feel the unease in Marcus even without words. The sound of the generator filled the silence between them. You haven't rested, she said softly. I can't, he replied. If we stay past dawn, they'll find us. Then we leave now, she said simply. He looked at her, tired, fragile, yet stronger than anyone he'd ever met. Once we move, there's no turning back, she smiled faintly. There never was. The journey begins. Marcus packed supplies, a med kit, rations, heat capsules. He wrapped Aaron in a blanket, careful not to expose the child's glowing skin. The boy murmured in his sleep, Mom, stars, we're almost home. Asha looked at her son with trembling lips. He dreams of the sky every night, she whispered. He believes it's calling him. Marcus adjusted the strap on his shoulder. Then let's make sure he gets there. They stepped into the alleyway. The rain had stopped, but puddles shimmered like broken mirrors. Far above, the upper city shone bright with clean towers and floating cars. Another world that didn't care about theirs. As they moved through the lower blocks, Marcus led them into an old tunnel hidden behind a fallen sign. This leads to the freight terminal, he said. Once there, we'll find Rena's contact. Asha nodded silently. The tunnel was dark, damp, and cold. Their footsteps echoed softly as they walked deeper into the unknown. Echoes in the dark. Halfway through the tunnel, Aaron woke up. He looked around, frightened. Where are we? In a shortcut, Marcus said gently. Close your eyes again, little man. We'll be safe soon. But Asha could sense something ahead. Her species had a sensitivity to vibrations, a way of feeling life through air and sound. Her skin faintly glowed and she whispered, Someone's coming. Marcus froze. He raised his pistol, motioning her to stay back. From the corner of the tunnel, a flicker of movement appeared. Then a shadow stepped forward. It was Rena. Marcus exhaled in relief. You scared me. Rena's face was grim. I had to make sure you made it this far. The patrols are everywhere. They know you're missing. Are the docks still clear? Marcus asked. For now, she said. but they've started scanning outbound ships for life signs. You'll need a decoy. Marcus frowned. A decoy? She looked at him, eyes full of meaning. Something that looks like the boy, at least long enough to fool their scanners. Asha held Aaron close, her voice sharp. No, he's not a thing to be copied. Marcus stepped between them. No one's hurting him. We'll figure another way. Rena sighed. You're both insane. Do you know what'll happen if you're caught? Yeah, Marcus said. That's why we won't be. Rena stared at him for a moment, then handed him a small device. Signal jammer. 2 minutes of blindness for their scanners. Use it wisely. She turned to leave, but before she did, she looked back. Marcus, I hope she's worth it. She is, he said quietly, but not in the way you think. Then she disappeared into the shadows. The terminal. They reached the freight terminal just before dawn. The sky was turning gray, and the first rays of light caught the steel roofs of the cargo ships. Dozens of workers moved about, some human, some alien, loading crates onto ships that would leave before sunrise. Marcus pointed to a smaller freighter with a dull red hull. That's the one. The Solara. It's unregistered on the official grid. Asha held Aaron's hand tightly. Will they let us board? Not exactly, Marcus said with a faint smile. But they'll be too busy to notice. They waited behind a pile of crates until a group of loaders passed. Marcus checked the jammer and nodded. When I count to 3, we move. 1, 2, 3. They ran, the jammer activated, a faint hum in the air. Lights flickered, sensors glitched. Marcus led them up the ramp and into the storage bay. The smell of metal and fuel filled the air. Asha looked around, clutching Aaron. Is it over? Almost, Marcus said. Stay quiet until liftoff. He turned to leave, but Asha caught his arm. You're not coming? He hesitated. If I stay, they'll chase us both. But if I draw them away, you'll make it out. She shook her head, eyes wide. No, you can't, he smiled faintly. I promised your boy he'd see the stars. The last stand Marcus stepped back down the ramp, sealing the door behind him. He walked calmly toward the patrol station at the edge of the dock. His heart pounded, but his face was steady. He'd made peace with his choice. A drone spotted him. Citizen Gray, you're under arrest for harboring non-human fugitives. He raised his hand slowly. They're gone, he said. Too late to catch them. The officer, a young man in armor, frowned. Where are they? Marcus smiled faintly. Somewhere you can't reach, the officer motioned to his soldiers. Search the ship. Before they could move, Marcus pressed the jammer again, overloading it this time. The signal burst flooded the scanners with static. Lights exploded in white sparks. He dove behind a crate as bullets hit the ground near him. He returned fire, aiming for the lights, not the men. Alarms blared, the siren echoing through the bay. Inside the ship, Asha covered Aaron's ears. The engines roared to life, the pilot shouting, We're launching early. The ship began to lift. Asha ran to the window, eyes wide. Through the smoke, she saw Marcus firing, moving, falling, rising again. Soldiers surrounded him, shouting commands she couldn't hear over the roar. She pressed her hands against the glass. Marcus! He looked up one last time. Through the chaos, their eyes met. He smiled, tired, broken, but full of something pure. Hope. Then he mouthed the words, Go. The escape. The ship broke free from the dock with a burst of flame. The city shrank below, its towers swallowed by clouds. Inside the cabin, Aaron clung to his mother. Where's Marcus? He asked. Asha couldn't answer. She held him tight, her tears falling silently. The stars stretched out before them, cold, endless, beautiful. Aaron looked up, voice trembling. Mom, do you think he can see the stars too? Asha whispered, Yes, little light. I think he's part of them now. She closed her eyes and imagined him there, standing under the dawn, smiling as the sky opened above. The aftermath back in Haven 9, the news spread quickly. Human medic killed aiding alien fugitives. Some called him a traitor. Others called him a fool. But in the dark corners of the city, the alleys, the slums, the refugee camps, people whispered his name with quiet respect. Marcus Gray. The man who gave up his world so someone else could reach theirs. Rena stood at the edge of the docks that morning, staring at the rising sun. She found his broken communicator among the debris. The last message still blinked. Lily, be good. Always help those who can't help themselves. She closed her eyes, whispered, "You did it, old friend," and turned away. Years later, the stars above Tyrian Station burned bright, lighting the great orbiting city of refugees. Aaron, now older, stood beside his mother at the observation deck. He pointed to a cluster of stars shaped like a faint spiral. "Look," he said, "that one. It shines brighter than the rest." Asha smiled faintly. "What do you see, my son?" "I see him," Aaron whispered. "The man who helped us." Asha placed a hand over her heart. "Then remember him, because that's how light lives on." Far away across galaxies, a signal flickered faintly in the black of space. An old recording looped endlessly. "Happy birthday, Daddy, come home soon." And maybe somewhere beyond the stars, Marcus Gray smiled. Final lines, for voice narration. The music fades. The narrator's voice softens. He missed his birthday, but he gave another family a chance to live theirs. Sometimes being human isn't about blood or species. It's about the courage to love beyond the lines that divide us. Fade out. Title card appears. Single dad skipped his birthday dinner to help an alien single mom, but he never expected this.